Hey guys, DJ here at Top Tech Cards and Games, and today I want to do a deck profile for a Versus System two-player card game deck that I've been playing. It's one of the first homebrews I've built since the tournament at Gen Con where I played Rocket. I didn't do a profile on that because I misbuilt my deck pretty badly, only having the game for roughly 12 hours before the start of the tournament. Didn't have enough time to really nail down a great deck, though I like the deck I played and I know how I would change it. It's just not as good in the game as I thought it would be before actually playing it a lot. What I did build is Loki. Loki is an interesting character. It wants you to play a lot of plot twists. It lets you do a lot of tricks in combat. And it just creates a really interesting game where you get to play a lot of plot twists to create your really sticky minions, make them hard for your opponent to deal with. And you can sort of overpower their board. So our ruler, or not ruler, geez, I play a lot of Force of Will, sorry. Our main character is Loki. Loki's level 1, has the ability in your combat to pay a red to play any combat plot twist from your graveyard, and then shuffle it into your deck. Whenever you play a plot twist, he gains an experience, and at 5 experience, he levels up into Loki level 2, who still has the same first ability, and his second ability, Master of Plots, lets you pay a yellow to check a player's hand and discard all plot twists from it. Super, super strong. Let's go into our supporting characters. We have 3 copies of Yondu. Our deck is villain and Guardians based. We play a lot of Guardians minions because of this, because they have some of the best plot twists in the game. And by some of the best, I mean they have even the odds. Even the odds is just the best card. I almost always want to be playing it. It makes me very, very likely to play Guardians in almost all of my decks. After that, we have 4 copies of Mantis. Our deck's not a super slow control deck that really loves a million mana, but it's kind of mid-rangey. We do have a decent top end, and we want enough resources to play our fat creatures. Mantis is an interesting creature because it's quite sticky because your opponent doesn't want to attack into it very often because they don't want to let you just play a 4-drop, and it creates a lot of difficult decisions for them. Then we have 3 copies of Gamora, 3 copies of Rocket, and 2 copies of Green Goblin in our 3-drop spot. Gamora is just one of the strongest cards in the game, being able to just KO your opponent's creatures with multiple creatures, supporting characters with multiple health, rather than doing the grindy deal with them through multiple wounds game. I think as the game evolves, it's going to be more and more correct to play 4 of this card even, just because it's got such good stats to begin with, so if you draw multiples, buffing it up, +1/+1 with the power-up ability is super relevant anyway. And it's just become more and more apparent that sticky creatures with multiple health are really where you want to be. I'm just going to call them creatures. Most of you probably played Magic or something anyway. Then we have 3 copies of Rocket, another Guardians character with the ability to pay a red to put a card from our KO pile back into our hand. This means we can get back creatures or plot twist, whatever we need. It just can create a lot of value, just let you get good cards back. 4 power is nothing to sneeze at attacking from range. It can sit in the back row behind your stickier front row creatures and go to the opponent's board to deal with creatures for very little value lost. Then 2 copies of Green Goblin. Green Goblin is a very interesting card that I found can get a lot of value. Your opponent's going to hide a lot of their characters that they want to survive in their back row, so it is able to fly over to deal with smaller minions left and back. On top of that, it's just able to clear out a lot of small minions against rush-based decks, putting a lot of low toughness or defense minions into play. So it's just really, really strong. Going into the 4-drops, we have some of the more powerful cards. We have 3 Sabertooths. Sabertooth's just incredible. Ferocious is a really strong ability since you create all of your advantage in this game through combat, so having the ability to deal your damage first and not trade at all is extremely good, and getting +1 counters just for attacking is so much free value for a creature. On top of that, he's got 2 health, which makes him, again, really hard to deal with. Our other 4-drop is 4 copies of Ultron. Ultron is the one supporting character in the game with the ability Swarm that lets you have multiple copies of in play, so you're never upset to draw multiples. Then its other superpower, Replicate, lets you pay a blue in your build phase to just grab another one from your deck and put it into play. And that is just extremely strong. It's got both flying and range, so you can let this sit in your back row behind Loki, who actually has a very, very high defense, so it can create a very hard to deal with front row. Being a 4/8 on its level 2 and a 1/6 on its level 1, plus all your different plot twists to help him stick in the front row and not die. You can create a really, really powerful offense from your backline with a pile of Ultrons. Even the first one you play, just being able to grab a second one in your build step, can normally kill some sort of character your opponent has and really help your field go over the top from theirs. It also doesn't let your opponent hide their better creatures in their back line since it has flying as well. So you can just go over there. Your guys aren't going to die most likely if they're just hiding them there. And it's just extremely, extremely strong. Next we have oh yeah, this card actually loses a lot of value if people start playing multiple green goblins in their deck. It's one of the things that the people I've been playing with currently haven't been playing green goblin, and I can't imagine that'll last for a very long time. Once they start playing it, I'm going to have to change these to something else. Change my deck list around a decent bit at that point because of it. But right now this is really awesome, and if you're playing against people who aren't playing a lot of green goblins, this card is just going to get a ton of value. And even if they are playing it, it's important to just not overextend on them at that point. So you just replicate one time, have 2 of them. That's 6 attack that's got flying and range, so you can really pick your opponent's board apart. So you can use those to deal with your opponent's board. If they green goblin 2 of these away, that's fine. When you draw the other one, you can use replicate again and just grab it. So it's just important not to overextend. It's probably correct to just play that way, even if you don't know that they're playing green goblin, just in case. Moving on from there, though, we have 3 copies of Groot. Groot is just one of the strongest cards in the game, actually. Like, Mantis makes it better. The fact that games go long makes it a lot better. It's very hard to end the game quickly in the new Versus system. So this guy just grows to astronomical sizes, and on top of that, he's got 2 health. It's just everything you want in the card. Next, we have 3 Drax. Drax is part of the top end of our deck, really. It's gigantic, a 6/6 that gets a plus when it attacks. It does have 2 health as well. This card synergizes very well with our Ultron strategy, letting us put a guy in front that's got grab, meaning our opponents can't fly over into our Ultrons. So it just creates, again, just a hard to deal with board. Your opponent has to deal with probably a 7/7 Drax in the front line if they want to get to your backline characters. Then our last character is 1 copy of Dormammu. We have a lot of extra blue locations in our deck because we're only going to probably use 2 replicate abilities ever, and after that we don't have much else we want to use them for. So we have a copy of Dormammu, which between laboratories and the villain special land, I can't remember the name of it without seeing the card in front of me, he can get some sweet value getting guys out of your opponent's discard pile. He also shuffles into your deck when he dies, so if your opponent deals with this guy, it's not like you're out of gigantic threats. He will be back. We don't play a huge top end. We only have 1 of this guy. We're not playing any Magnetos or anything like that. But it mostly gets the job done. You want to really get control of the game much earlier than that and have your opponent be pressured to constantly deal with your board of creatures that they really can't deal with. That's your strategy. You want to get ahead, use your plot twist to keep yourself ahead, and really just control the board. We can move on into our plot twist from here, though. Our plot twists are pretty important since we're going to use them to flip over our Loki. So we have 4 copies of Even the Odds, basically the only counter spell in the game. It gets rid of all of your opponent's pluses and puts their character down to the original attack. So it makes it harder for your opponent to fight you through plot twists, especially when you're able to easily use multiples of these in a turn with Loki's special ability. If they like pump, then pump again. We have 4 copies of Metal and Fire. Loki's defense is so large that your opponent will often have to team attack. Being able to put negative counters on multiple guys at once is such a huge, huge bonus. Especially with Loki's ability, again, to flash it back, play it from your KO pile, just keep putting neg1 counters on your opponent's team. This card just gets such insane value. We have 4 copies of Find Cover as well. Like I said, one of our main goals with our deck is to create very, very sticky minions that are hard to deal with. Being able to give +3 toughness is just the best buff you can give as far as keeping minions in play. And we also have 2 copies of Savage Surprise. We play so many cards that have multiple health that a lot of the time we'll be okay to trade a wound for a wound because we'll pretty frequently be killing our opponent's character when we do that. Then our last thing is 2 copies of Extinguish. Because I think the meta has pretty quickly caught on that characters with multiple wound or multiple health are just better, obviously, than characters without them, even if their stats are worse or their abilities are worse. This card has gotten better for me over time since decks have clearly adapted to play more creatures that are hard to kill. The one plot twist that's not in here that I just haven't figured out how to fit yet is I really want 1 copy of Give 'em a Lift, so I can fly over to find lethal sometimes, and with Rocket I have multiple activations of it, and I would just really like to have an additional plot twist. I think the 16 that I have right here is a good number for Loki, but I think 1 more would really help me flip him a little bit earlier. I just haven't figured out what card I want to cut for it yet, so that's where I'm at right now. Lastly, we have our locations. We have 4 laboratories, 4 training grounds. This is going to activate Ultron and, to a lesser extent, Dormammu. Training ground is just the most important one in our deck. It uses Loki's first ability and Rocket's ability. I also have 4 copies of the Vault, which again are going to activate Loki, and we can use them to activate Dormammu. And then finally we have 3 Nowheres, which we're going to use to activate Rocket, and I think it's just Rocket actually. Rocket and Yondu, right. Yondu is super important for dealing with our opponent's early threats. I don't really talk about him at all when I put him down the first time. Yondu's ability just lets you KO a supporting character that costs 3 or less, which means in the early game he trades up incredibly well, plus he has 2 toughness. But Nowhere also plays for Yondu, which is pretty important because we have all of these that we really want to be using on Loki, though Rocket is just fine as well. So it might not be incorrect to play a 4th one of these and just cash in on an extra Guardians character. The other thing that's not in there, I guess, was I was playing for a while 4 Nowheres and playing a copy of Nova as well to take advantage of our extra laboratories that we're not really using, since Nova can re-ready itself for the cost of 1 laboratory, which can give you a pretty explosive turn from time to time. Yeah, I don't know. Those are a couple little changes I've thought about making. Abomination is another card that I would really like to play just because it has the 3 health, making it super sticky and hard to deal with. It really is a powerful card to put up in your front line. Plus it's hard to team attack into, obviously, with its ability that deals damage to all the cards attacking it. But yeah, I don't know. This is the deck I'm playing right now. It's been a ton of fun. I'm having a lot of fun playing against it. I've mostly just played against Thanos a lot. The matchup has been in my favor, though. You know, my opponent's deck is fairly untuned. It was a deck from the 5K that top 8'd, but they haven't edited it almost at all yet, which I'm sure the meta has changed substantially from there, but we just haven't had a ton of time to play yet. But anyway, I hope you guys are really interested in this game. This deck's a ton of fun. I'm probably going to do some more deck profiles for the game because I think it's sweet and I'm having a lot of fun brewing in it even. So if you guys are interested in a specific main character or a specific combination of I don't even know what they're called, honestly. Factions, there you go. A specific combination of factions or something, or a certain deck style, please let me know down below in the comments. I do read the comments, so I don't always get a chance to reply to them. And if you guys are interested in something, I'd be more than happy to talk to you about it or try to put a deck together to show you. We do have the game in our store here in Pittsburgh. If you guys need a copy of it and you're in the area, we are selling them for, I think, $49.99 right now. We want to start having tournaments, so that's in the future somewhere. We're getting all the details worked out, but we would like to have them sometime soon. But other than that, make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to the channel, check out all our other content, and there will be plenty more Versus content coming soon. We also have our website, topdeckcardsandgames.com, where we sell all sorts of cards for plenty of games. And we do not have the Versus listed on there currently, but in the future that might show up on there as well if you don't have a copy of the game and you're looking for somewhere to pick it up. But thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you all soon.